Hey, welcome to Wargroove. Alright, we have a great game here today that's going to showcase the strengths and weaknesses of Nuru and Caesar. Now, this is a quick play match I ran into the other day, and it's one of my best quick play matches. I liked it because I was player 2, and I misunderstood which map we were playing on, so I picked Nuru on a stage where I don't love to be Nuru. The reason I don't particularly like being Nuru on this stage is because we're very pressed for income. We have a lot of racks. We want to build constantly. And Nuru needs to gold save to get that good groove, to get that powerful unit, to get that clutch unit where you need it. And you don't want to gold save on this map. You want to dump your gold as quickly as possible. If you have gold, you want to make a treb. So it's a little bit tricky to play Nuru on this particular map. Now, my opponent picked Caesar. That's not that bad a matchup. It's not like it's a Valder or a Ragnar or something, which would be really terrifying for Nuru to go into on this map. So I'm feeling kind of okay about it. Now my opponent goes for a standard opening with a wagon. They move their commander across the stronghold. They clearly know what they're doing. So I figure, alright, I'm player 2 on this map, which currently in patch 1.3 isn't really balanced for player 2. So I'll be fighting a little bit from behind, and that could actually be a lot of fun. It's sometimes fun to be at a disadvantage, because then you can really earn the win. And if I were player 1, then I would just be... I would have an advantage. I would be like, alright, this is way too easy. So this is a pretty standard opening. We're just moving across the stronghold, trying to gather properties. Now the ideal place to put that wagon for my opponent is right near that village over there. And they do it, so that the pike can step 1, 2, 3 into the wagon. Now, I start with an extra sword, so I'm going to use that to try to get a little bit of an advantage by pressing to the center as quickly as possible. On this map, those center 4 villages are the first thing that's going to be contested. If you can steal them away from your opponent and control all 4, you'll have a huge income advantage that basically gives you the game. I put my wagon in a slightly different position, but really, if you do the math, it ends up being about the same. The pike moves 1, 2, 3 into the wagon, then steps into the wagon. As long as you're the maximum possible distance from the pike you build, you're more or less good, because actually both road spaces you could have the wagon on will effectively have the same distance from where you're trying to go. Fun fact. Alright, so I'm just trying to capture properties, get to the center as quickly as I can. But because Donk as Caesar went first, they got that spear wagon first, 1 turn ahead of me, and they're able to move it to the center first. So that spear can get to my side first, which is a big threat. Now, I decide to combat that threat by, okay, I want to fight it, I want to drive it off. I want to try to get my spear to fight their spear and win the fight instead of trying to take their village in response, because their commander is also a turn ahead of my commander, and I don't want to capture their village and then have their commander kill my spear before my commander can kill their spear. Basically, the whole thing is I'm a turn behind, and I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to catch up. But Dunk is playing very aggressive. They're trying to take my village away from me. So I get in position, I have the wagon as a block protecting my spear. There's no way for that spear to attack my spear or my sword, and my opponent is just capturing more property. So far, this has been a pretty standard opening on all sides. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of backing off, my opponent is going to go in. They're going to go in deep. They've captured that village and taken it away from me. Now, even if I take it back, I'll have used up an attack that couldn't have been used on that pike. Also, I can't possibly kill that pike. Take a look at the positioning. At best, I can attack it with my pike, and that's the most damage I could do. It would survive. If I attack it with my pike, I can't take the village back. If I attack the village, at best it's neutral, and their pike is perfectly fine and can keep harassing me. So I'm taking a lot of flack from this one pike harassing me early. And that's one of the big advantages of being P1 on this map. You can really leverage that 1 turn of being ahead. Now, I've got this wagon, And I've got some pikes and swords scattered about, but I don't really have a good defensive position. Look, if I attack that pike with my pike, that sword down there will hit my pike. I lose the trade, right? So if I'm going to put that there, I have to protect it. Now, as I said, the sword can't take out the village, so I chose to attack the pike instead of going for the village. But now I have a weak sword, a weak pike. I have to move the wagon there to protect my pike, or the sword hits it. But because I did that, I lost a turn of transportation. I lost the ability to bring another pike into the fight more quickly. That might not have even been worth it. I think what I should have done is just uncapped the village and just sat on my butt, not done anything. Moved the wagon back to get more pikes, because really, reinforcing was more important than attacking there. I think I made the wrong decision. It would have been better to send the wagon back and bring in more pikes. But, you know, I wanted to punish that aggression, and I think punishing that aggression was the wrong call. Alright, so this is where the game starts to get really interesting, because my opponent is ahead on income. They're going to be ahead on income every turn for a few turns going forward, because I just don't have the power to take back those villages right now. They're wagoning in pikes, and I barely have a supply line operational. My commander is too far away to do anything. It's going to be a few turns before my commander can make it to that front. And again, I'm playing Nuru, and I'm behind on income, and I'm being pressured. The biggest weakness of Nuru is being pressured for income. Now let's talk about Nuru for a second. I know all my beginner viewers are like, wait, isn't Nuru like a terrible commander? You have to pay double for stuff? And then everybody on the tournament scene is like, oh wow, Nuru is really broken. What are you talking about weakness? Well, I think the truth as usual lies somewhere in the middle. Nuru right now is a very powerful commander, and is very strong on certain maps and in certain situations. But the best way to fight against a Nuru is to take away their money. Nuru has a fast charge. Nuru will get Groove. There's no stopping Nuru from getting Groove. But you can stop Nuru from using Groove well. Really, Nuru wants to have banked at least 400 extra gold, plus whatever she needs to build for the next turn. That's a lot on a stage where you have 3 barracks, because you need enough money to build from 3 barracks. Let's say you're making all pikes. Even in patch 1.3, that's still 450 gold. So you need 450 gold, plus an additional 400 if you just want to make dog or worse. If you want to make like an alchemist, no, you need an additional 800 banked. So now you need like 1200 gold. But right now my income is 600. There's no way I'm getting 1200 gold, no matter how many turns I save for that. Plus, I need more stuff to defend my properties because I'm getting pike spammed. I'm losing. I need powerful units to defend my villages, or I'm going to be even further behind on income. And that right there is the Nuru problem. Just because you have Groove doesn't mean you can use it. Doesn't mean you can use it effectively. Sure, I could just say, okay, YOLO, I'll summon a spear this turn. Well, great. That's 300 gold. Look, right now I have 750 gold. I summon a spear for 300 gold. I now have 450 gold left. I can just maybe make spears on all the rest of my racks, and now I'm at 0 gold. So that is right now the best I can do, get 1 more spear. And right now that spear can't even attack anything because Nuru's in the middle of nowhere. So it wouldn't really do me a lot of good. Now that is, the power of Nuru is the versatility, right? If I wanted to, I could make that spear. And then I'd have no Groove, but maybe I could get it back again soon, right? So if you're playing Nuru, don't get too obsessed with making like really expensive units. Sometimes a spear is enough. But my point is, a spear is all I can do. And it's going to cost me. I'm going to lose an extra 150 gold. So that spear has to be useful. It has to earn its money back by attacking something. Or else I'm down right now. If that spear spends all its time fussing around a front without ever actually fighting, I'm down 300 gold, right? An army piece is only useful so long as it's fighting, or else you might as well not have even built it. So taking that into consideration, that's effectively how you fight Nuru. I don't want to say counter Nuru, because it's very difficult to truly counter Nuru, but you can pressure Nuru more than other commanders by forcing her to defend income, by playing very aggressive early, by attacking villages, it almost becomes more important to attack villages than troops when you're fighting Nuru, because those villages can turn into troops. They can turn into wildcard troops that will suddenly appear and attack you. So what my opponent is doing is very good. They're playing very aggressive against a Nuru. They're denying me income. They're keeping me fighting. They're making me build every turn, so I don't have gold banked. I can't make a powerful unit suddenly appear on the field. I can't even build a Treb normally at this point. I'm so far behind on income. And that's the power of Nuru right there. Now, you notice my opponent, Caesar, built a knight. Caesar likes knights. Caesar likes Trebs, too. On this map, knights are just kind of okay. They're great for early aggression, and my opponent is trying for some early aggression. But while we're both spear spamming, I don't know how useful that knight is going to be. I think they mainly made it so that they can use it in conjunction with Caesar Groove, because Caesar Groove will help out that knight a bit. I still think a Treb would have been better. Alright, so right now I'm just planning my next turn. I'm like, alright, I'm going to take this village back, and then 2 turns from now, the pike I use to reclaim this village is going to take the one to the left, and then I'll have all the villages in my territory except for the ones that were stolen from me. So that sword is kind of useless, so I'm going to send the sword to the rookery, which means that this wagon can't do anything this turn, so I need to reposition the wagon. That's basically what I was thinking to myself while my opponent was taking their turn. You always want to be thinking about your next turn while your opponent is taking their turn, because remember, you're on the clock in quick play. So some of the stuff here that I talked about, I instantly do the second my turn starts. And some of it, I'm still being a bit indecisive in. I'm like, do I really want to do that? I'm not sure. I could go for the rookery. The decisions I made let me move very quickly. The decisions I was indecisive about are wasting me a lot of time. So, you know, you want to make those decisions and stick with them instead of fussing around, but whenever you get stuck, you could just switch to another front, move some pieces, and then maybe you'll have your mind made up by the time you get back to it. I'm realizing here that this wagon can't go far enough to move a spear from the top racks, which is a bit unfortunate. So I'm just going to move the pieces instead and then figure out where to put the wagon later. You notice I'm still being super indecisive about that sword, but in the end I decide, you know what, yeah, I'm going to move it towards that rookery. Alright, so I build an archer. Why am I making an archer? Because my opponent is very clearly making a pike line, and an archer is a great way to break a pike line. Now I want to be clear about this. You do not want to duel pikes with an archer. That is very different than breaking a pike line. You never, under any circumstances, want to duel pikes with an archer. You will lose. Pikes do too much damage to archers, and they can usually get in your range if you're in theirs. However, as an archer, you have an effective range of 6. Step forward 3 spaces and then fire 3 spaces, and you can use terrain to make it more difficult for the pikes to get to you. So the real purpose of an archer is to damage a pike so that your other pikes can finish off that pike, opening up a space that you can step into and then attack yet another pike. Basically, the point of an archer is to let you attack more things. Not to duel, not to win the battle by itself. And if you do it right, that archer will never take damage on your opponent's counterattack. So you can use it again next turn and do even more damage, and that's how an archer earns its worth. By staying to the back, by never ever ever being on the front lines. Remember this if you want to use archers. Okay, so my opponent just used all of their gold this turn to build that dragon. They can't use their racks at all. This is a tempo play, and I think a big mistake. Now, the dragon is terrifying, mind you. I have no anti-air. There's a ton of roads, so the dragon will crit like everything. If that dragon goes anywhere near Caesar, Caesar can double turn the dragon, and it will just eat my pike line. Very terrifying. But on the other hand, they missed 3 potential builds. That's 3 potential spears plus some gold bank they could have had. And if those 3 spears had suddenly appeared on the front lines through wagons, that might be more terrifying, more problematic than a dragon. Because think about it, a dragon is great for attacking. Spears are great for defending. Right now, they already have one of my villages. Now they want to hold it. They want to defend it. A few more spears would do a much better job of that, or they could have built 2 spears and a treb. You know what I mean? Building one powerful unit and ignoring all your racks is usually a bad call. It's usually a mistake. You're just dropping your unit count too low. The only time you really want to do that is when you have a definitively strong play. Alright, now let's take a look at the current situation. They've got 4 pikes guarding that village, and they're working on taking my other village as well. There's Caesar and a knight coming in from the south, and I don't really have a good defense against Caesar, though I have pikes for the knight. I'm outnumbered, outmanned, but Nuru finally has Groove. However, Nuru is blocked by a wagon, a village, and a pike. Doesn't look great for me. Not gonna lie, it looks pretty crappy. So I move my sword out of the way, and then I want to try to do as much damage to that knight as possible. Because knights are expensive. Knights are 600 gold. If I can do a lot of damage to that knight, then my opponent will have effectively screwed themselves in terms of gold. I can even up the gold a little bit. That would be pretty good. But I also have to be careful because there's 3 pikes here. And I don't want those 3 pikes to suddenly come in and take out my pikes. I'll lose the game if that happens. So I have to be very careful with my units. I don't want my precious pikes to take too much damage. At the same time, I can't do nothing either. So first of all, I definitely want to go in with this archer, and I do want to capture the rookery as planned in case I need an emergency air unit. Now, Nuru can't really get a good groove off. I'm trying to figure, okay, if I spawn a knight there, which I can't even afford, could it, like, take out the barracks? But no, I can't even afford a knight. I don't have enough gold. We talked about this. That's the problem. So I just attack this wagon. I have groove, but I can't use it. Instead, I just attack the wagon. Now, I drop my archer right there, because it can crit the village from its current position. It can crit that pike from its current position. Everything would have to move out of the way to escape the archer's range, so it's a pretty good spot. Now, I'm deciding where to put this pike, and I have to be careful. I don't want to open it up to an attack from another pike, so I kind of just leave it where it is, so that, okay, if they kill that sword, which they can, and crit into this pike, which they can, at the very least, it won't die. But honestly, even that was probably a mistake. I think I should put it further back, like on the mountain, or... that dragon is scaring me, and keep in mind, since I went double archer this turn, I still have no strong anti-air. An archer can hit a dragon, but it won't kill a dragon. More likely, the dragon kills the archer, because the dragon outranges the archer by far. It's more mobile. So I skip a few builds myself to try to bank gold. And why did I do that? Because I anticipated that my opponent on this turn would take out that village. Then, accounting for the fact that I'd lose 100 income, I wanted to bank just enough gold so that my total income would be 800 or more. Why did I do that? Because an alchemist costs 400. An alchemist costs 400, and Nuru can summon an alchemist for twice the price, or 800. So as long as I have 800 income, even though I'd be missing builds, I could summon an emergency alchemist if I needed to deal with the dragon. That's why I skipped a few builds. So my opponent skipping builds did force me to skip builds as well. So maybe that dragon wasn't such a bad call. Now the second I see the dragon move there, I instantly do the math. If those 2 pieces, the wagon and the pike, were gone, and Nuru stepped 4 spaces to the south, and I summoned an alchemist directly to the south of Nuru, it would have just enough movement to cross 2 roads, get onto the mountain, and crit the dragon, and kill it. So the second I see that, I'm like, come on, move the wagon, move the pike. You're scared of my archer. Move them out of the way. Move the wagon, move the pike. I'm really hoping that they move the wagon back to try to bring another pike, which would get it completely out of my path, and they move the pike to the right to try to get it out of the range of my archer. That's what I'm hoping for, because that means that theoretically I could kill that dragon with the alchemist that I gold banked for a turn ago. You see, this is what I mean with playing Nuru. It's like there's this almost paradox. Nuru is terrible, Nuru is great. The better you are at the game, the more things you can see and plan for and account for, the more you have memorized unit movement spaces and timings and gold costs, the more crazy shit you can do with Nuru, which makes her versatility incredibly more powerful. So Nuru kind of scales with your level of play. And that's why Nuru is terrifying in competitive tournaments, but in casual matches, Nuru might just fall flat, because you won't even be able to use Groove sometimes if you get rushed or if you lose income. It's really hard to play Nuru from behind. One of the reasons Ragna has become very popular lately is even if you're losing, a Ragna Groove could still win you the game and turn it around. But if you're losing, good luck using Nuru. You can't do anything. You can't even use Groove. That will make you further behind, right? So my opponent moved exactly as I predicted they would, giving me just enough to crit kill the dragon. Now that dragon they spent an entire turn building is gone. Additionally, Nuru is in a great position because I can't be killed. If that knight attacks into me, great, the knight takes damage, I can back up, and I have an archer there ready to protect me, right? In fact, the archer would be able to hit the knight if I absolutely had to. Now, additionally, the knight could hit my alchemist, do big damage to the alchemist, but the alchemist is on a mountain, so the counterattack wouldn't be terrible, and I still have Nuru there. Additionally, I can go in with my archer to weaken that pike, and then I can block for the archer to make sure that it can't be counterattacked, because remember, we talked about this, you do not want your archer to duel the pike. You're just harassing it, you're making it weaker. You never want your archer to be on the front lines and take a hit. So I have to use the wagon there as a body block, which is fine, because I used all my gold for the alchemist. Missing a lot of builds, but we killed a dragon, so it was worth it. You can miss builds when it really, really matters. Like, killing a dragon. That's a pretty big deal. Also, let's take a look at the gold perspective on what I just did. I spent 800 gold and 3 builds to kill a dragon that cost 1250 and 3 builds. So it was definitely even, although to bank that gold I had to miss 2 builds. So it definitely cost me in terms of unit count. I lost in terms of unit count. But then I got an alchemist, which is +1 unit count, and I won 400 gold. So that's what Nuru's Groove gave me. -1 question mark to unit count, but I have an alchemist on the front lines, and 400 gold worth over my opponent. Not actual gold, but, 400 gold that I haven't wasted. Plus an alchemist which is valued at 400 gold, so really 800 gold. That is a lot to keep track of. If you didn't understand that, don't worry about it. The point is that Nuru effectively got 400 gold worth of stuff for -1 unit cost. And that's what her Groove did for me. So it's a little weird to track how good a Groove is. You can do it in terms of gold worth, you can do it in terms of unit count. But what it really comes down to is the positional advantage. Killing a dragon was a huge positional advantage. My opponent's entire strategy rested on that dragon's existence, and now it's gone. That is so big for me. That is so big for me. I took out the core of their strategy. Now those pikes are surrounded by my pikes, and archers on either side. Now Caesar's Groove can at best make a knight double turn. But that's useless because I have an army of pikes. They needed the dragon to counter my pikes. That sword over there isn't gonna do it. The pikes are attacking into me to try to recover some ground, but I have 2 archers. My commander's nearby. The positional advantage of killing that dragon was what made Nuru's Groove great. The versatility of it, that I have the option to do so many things with it. That's why Nuru is strong. If you look at the numbers, it's usually actually a pretty weak Groove, but if you think about all the different things you can do with it, odds are one of them will be really great for you. And as long as that one thing you can do with it is really great for you, the fact that all those other things you could have done with it are worthless don't matter. Alright, that's enough spiel, so let's take a look at what's happening right now. I'm still behind on income. My opponent still has a ton of pikes attacking into me. Caesar has Groove. I don't have Groove. And my alchemist can't really attack because, look, if I hit that sword, the pike hits me. So I'm like, alright, fine. I'll take this village instead, try to even up the income a little bit. Awesome. I'm still behind on income, but that's okay. Now notice, what am I going to do here? I kill that pike because it was basically free. And now I use the archer to weaken a pike so I can finish it off with another pike, right? Just like we said. Alright, so now I use that other archer just to finish off the low health pike. That way that remaining pike can't get a pike crit. I use the wagon to block for my archer, because we're still doing that. We don't want our archer to be hit, ever. And that pike could hit the archer if I didn't move the wagon there. So that wagon has made a great body block for our archer. And now look at this. Their pike line is gone. Just gone. Caesar has groove, but who cares? What are you going to use it on? I put this low health sword there just to act as a meat shield, because whatever hits that sword will die. So yeah, go ahead, kill my 1 health sword and die in the process. That will not be worth it for you. What are they going to do? Attack my pike with a knight? Use Caesar Groove to make the knight attack a pike twice? That's a great way to suicide your knight. It's like if they really, really wanted to, they could probably double attack my pike and then use double attack my pike with the knight. The knight takes huge damage, but the pike eventually dies, then move their pike through and hit my archer, and then have all pieces involved die and have their commander get surrounded. Or even on income, I'm now up on unit count. In that one turn, I've completely equalized the game and my opponent insta-surrenders. I was behind all game. I was behind on income. I was behind on unit count. I was losing. And then suddenly we turned it all around. It comes down to a couple of things. My opponent should have made trebs, archers, something to support the pikes other than that one big dragon. Also, when you're playing against Nuru, pressuring income is definitely the right call, but you also need to constantly be aware of anything she could create at any time. It's very difficult to play and play against Nuru. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy 2020, and post in the comment section the best play you've made lately. And as always, welcome to Wargroove.